We picked up millions of people in the Republican Party. They lost millions of people. And I think we're going to do very well in the midterms. And I just want to say one other thing, and that's medicine. The cost of medicine all over the world is much cheaper than the United States because for years the world pushed us around, including our friends. And you go to Germany, you go to England, you go to different places, and you go to a store, and it's sometimes 10% of what we pay in the United States because they said, nope, we're not paying any more. You charge the United States. This went on for 25, 30 years. And I invoked favored nations. I said, I want to pay the same as they're paying. And Bobby Kennedy is doing a good job, and Dr. Oz is doing a good job. And I asked them, I mean, other than the basics that they're doing on autism and other things, which we got to solve that problem because it's crazy what's happening, it's out of hand. But this is the most important thing that can be done is favored nations, Bobby. And we're not talking about a 25% cut or 50. We're talking about a 1,500% cut because people go to Europe to buy drugs and they come back with drugs, prescription drugs, normal, not, I don't mean the bad drugs, I mean prescription drugs, because you can buy them for 10%, 15%, 20% of what. So they're going to go up in price. And I told the countries, and I get along good with all of them. I mean, you could ask any, I get along good with all of them. But I said, you know, I told them, I said, you're going to go up a little bit because it's the world. It's the world. So more people in the world than we have. We're going to go down a lot, and they're going to go up a little. And it's called equalization. We're going to have equalization. So we pay the same price as the lowest drug sold anywhere in the world. And I think, Bobby, that's going to happen pretty soon. The companies are ready for it. They had to go for years. I was with a very great gentleman from Eli Lilly. I think he's an incredible executive. I mean, I'll mention the company and I'll mention him because we had this argument my first term, and then we had it in my second term. In my second term, I wouldn't stop until I won the point. And he threw up his hands. He says, you're right, I can no longer defend it. I can no longer defend that a pill that's made by Johnson & Johnson in a factory, in the same factory in the United States versus a place in Europe or other places, including Canada, by the way, you could buy it for 10% or 15% or 20% the cost of what we're paying. Where we'd pay 5, 6, 7 times more money. He said, it's the hardest part of my job defending that. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm saying that we have to get down to business. And that's a great company. He's done a great job, and I appreciated it. And it really broke the ice because they were saying, well, we have to do research and development. Well, you have to do it for Germany and all these other countries too. Well, they think the United States should bear it. I mean, I heard this stuff and I finally said, it's over. Now, you have to have somebody that can get these countries to do it. I told them, if you don't do it, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff on everything you send into our country. That's much more money than what we're talking about. Then we have to get the drug companies to do it, and they'll do it because we have tremendous power over the drug companies too. So we're going to get it done. I just hope we get it done fast, Bobby, because this thing should go fast. But we're going to get the cost of medicine is going to be 1,000%. Think of that. Not 2%. And I just tell this last story. When I was in my first term, in my last year, I was so proud of myself because drug prices went down for the first time in 28 years under my administration. You know how much it went down? 1/4%. And I was so proud of that. And I held a news conference, I think you'll be able to find it, congratulating myself and my administration because for the first time in 28 years, drug prices went down 1/4%. That is tiny, but it still went down. And I thought it was great. And then I realized, you know, it's a very complicated business and formula. You got to be very smart. I said, we're really getting ripped off by the whole world. The whole world is ripping us off. And what happened is I got on this kick. And I got the drug companies to agree. And I got countries to agree. And they're not agreeing because they think I'm a nice person. They're agreeing because I will put charges and costs and tariffs onto them that will be many times more than what they're going to be paying. So the companies are there and the countries are there, and we got to get it done, Bobby. We got to get it done, and we're going to have the biggest price event. Now, that's going to lower Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. This is going to lower everything because drugs go for everything. It's going to have the biggest impact, I think, of anything that can possibly be done. But your costs are going to be going down for medicine, for prescription drugs, will be going down at levels that nobody ever thought possible. And that's going to happen in a matter of a very short period of time. And we're all set with the countries, and we're all set with the companies. That's all you need, the two. And the middleman gets cut out. Under this scenario, the middleman doesn't exist anymore. That was the other thing. They always blamed the middleman. I said, who are the middlemen? Nobody knew who the middleman was. You know,
That's right.
they had the most complex formula. It was genius, but they didn't get away with it. So I'm counting on Bobby. Do you want to start, Bobby? Maybe we'll start.
President Donald Trump recently spoke about his plans to address the high cost of prescription drugs in the United States, outlining his efforts to drastically lower medication prices for American consumers. He began by noting the growing support for the Republican Party, emphasizing their success in attracting millions of new followers while highlighting that the opposition had seen a significant loss in supporters. The president then shifted focus to the escalating cost of medicine in the U.S., which remains far higher than in other countries. According to Trump, many nations, including Germany, England, and Canada, offer prescription drugs at a fraction of the price that Americans pay. In some cases, U.S. consumers are charged as much as 5 to 7 times more than people in other parts of the world for the same medication. Trump explained that for years, the United States had been taken advantage of by these countries, which took advantage of the U.S. willingness to absorb inflated costs. To tackle this issue, Trump introduced the concept of favored nations, where the U.S. would pay the same price for medicines as the lowest-cost countries. This shift could lead to a dramatic reduction in drug prices, possibly by as much as 1,500%, a stark contrast to the modest reductions seen in the past. He pointed to the efforts of Bobby Kennedy and Dr. Oz in tackling medical challenges like autism, but stressed that the most urgent issue at hand was lowering drug costs. Trump also shared an anecdote from his time working with a senior executive from Eli Lilly, who acknowledged the disparity in drug prices between the U.S. and Europe, admitting that it was difficult to justify why Americans were paying so much more for the same product. The president revealed how he had used his leverage over pharmaceutical companies and foreign nations to push for price equalization. By threatening to impose tariffs on countries that did not align with this vision, Trump successfully got both international markets and pharmaceutical companies on board with the idea of reducing costs. The tariffs, he explained, would be far more damaging to these countries than the reduction in drug prices the U.S. was asking for, making the proposition more appealing for them. Recalling his first term in office, Trump proudly noted that drug prices had decreased for the first time in 28 years, albeit by a small fraction, 0.25%. While this was a modest achievement, it marked a significant turning point in the fight against inflated prescription prices. The president's vision includes a scenario where the middlemen in the pharmaceutical industry, often blamed for driving up prices, are eliminated altogether. According to Trump, no one could even define who these middlemen were, as the system had become too complex and convoluted to fully understand. With this new approach, he believes that Americans will soon see a massive reduction in the cost of prescription drugs, impacting not only the healthcare system but also programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Trump concluded by expressing his confidence that the agreements with pharmaceutical companies and foreign nations would soon be finalized, resulting in a major breakthrough for American consumers. The plans are set to revolutionize the way prescription drugs are priced in the U.S., ultimately leading to lower costs and better access to vital medications for millions of Americans.